We give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bashem, Rekwah, Kadash. Double honors to the apostles that rule well. Salutation to the brothers in the four corners of earth, pushing this truth in what? In sincerity. Uh, this article right here is shit hit the fan. Plan credit card default skyrocket to 14-year high. A sign that inflation's worst effect have yet to be realized. Okay. So we're gonna read a little bit of this article. We're gonna get into a little bit of history. Um, we might change the topic and get into something else. We'll see how this is going. Okay. All right. So we're gonna get into this article. The spirit lead. We're gonna, of course, hit the precepts. Right. I'm gonna get straight to the point. Matter of fact, I'm gonna read this couple bullets here real quick. U.S. credit cards default surged to 46 billion in the first 9 months of 2024, the highest level since 2010. Two, defaults have jumped over 50% year over year, with seriously delinquent loan balances more than doubling in 2 years. Third, 74.5 U.S. consumers' credit card debt, with over 90% paycheck to paycheck households struggling to pay bills. Believe this is what? Four. High inflation, predatory interest rates, and fees are crippling middle and lower income families, eroding consumer spending power. Five, the economics are warned that the rise in defaults could exuberate inflation and destabilize the economy as financial institutions face mounting losses. It's getting bad out here, Yasharala. It's getting bad. But the scripture said to be occupied in prophecy, right? And that's what we going to do. This is the last days we live in it. This is the last days of Esau's sovereignty. His sovereignty is going down, right? Just like the Assyrian Empire, just the Babylonian Empire, right? Just as the Greco Empire, right? Roman, of course. We're going back before that, Salakia. Was it the? Nah. Before that was the Medes and what's that? Medes and the Persians. Salakia. Medes and the Persians. Um, the yeah, the Greeks and the Romans, right? Yeah, yeah. So I got a little brain freeze there. But I ain't gonna start the video over. We're gonna keep going, right? The effects of the inflation have yet to be fully realized as a massive wave of defaults cascade. The American economy is teetering on the edge of a financial precipice, right? As credit card defaults soar to their highest level in 14 years. According to the industrial industry data compiled by Bank Rig Data, card lenders wrote off 46 billion in seriously delinquent loans in the first 9 months of 2024, a staggering 50% increase over 2023. This alarming trend, reminiscent of the 2008 financial crisis, highlights the growing financial distress faced by millions of households across the nation. The surge in default is a direct consequence of years of inflated inflation, skyrocketing interest rates, and predatory fees that have left consumers increasingly stretched, right? Because the fees, they constantly increase the fees 18%, 21%, 24%, and some people even paying 26% interest on these credit cards. It's ridiculous, Yasharala. It's ridiculous, and it's getting out of control, right? For many, American credit card have become a lifeline to cover basic expenses. But the burden of high interest debt is now pushing them to the brink, right? Payments intelligence research reveal that 74.5 of U.S. consumer carry a lease some credit card debt, with the figure soaring to over 90% for those living paycheck to paycheck and struggling to pay bills.
Scripture.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is Proverbs chapter 22 and 7. The rich rule over the poor. The borrower is a servant to the lender.
Yep, the bar is what? Servant to the lender. So most Americans, like 90% of the Americans, is what? Slave to the lenders, pretty much, right? And it's spiraling. America is spiraling down the drain, or as Jerry Salente said, circling down the drain, man. Right? This place is finished. Right? The average outstanding balance for those struggling households stands at 7,038 compared to 5,766 for those who live paycheck to paycheck without financial difficulties. Right? For financial stable cardholders, right, the average balance drops to 3,202. This stocks disparity, right, highlights the widening gap between the economic haves and have-not, with the bottom third of the consumers effectively tapped out, according to Mark Zandi, right, head of the Moody's Analytics, right. The implication of this crisis extend far beyond individual household consumer spending, which account for nearly 70% of U.S. economy, is under severe strain as more Americans default on the credit card debt. Financial institutions face mounting losses, which could ripple through the broader economy. The Federal Reserve recent data shows U.S. credit card debt continue to climb, reaching 5.113 trillion in October 2024. Meanwhile, okay. Meanwhile, rejection rates for credit applications, including auto loans and mortgages, have risen sharply, particularly for consumers with low credit scores. Right.
Exodus chapter 22 and 25. If thou lend money to any of my people that is poor by thee, thou shalt not be to him as a usurer, neither
Mm-hmm.
shall thou lay upon him usury. And I'm pretty sure that
And that applies to us, right?
yeah,
We ain't supposed to give usury to another brother or charge them interest. That's among Israel alone,
right.
right? But the heathen, they charge Israelites heavy usury, heavy interest rate on these debts.
The
Yeah,
definition of usury says the legal action or practice of lending money at unreasonably high rates of interest.
that's
And when
right.
you get these cars off the dealership, whether it's used or whether it's new, there's high rates. It's very unreasonable high rates of interest when you buy them. As soon as that car goes off the lot, it depreciates in value. So technically, you're not paying for the principal anymore,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're paying that. I'm probably explaining that part wrong, but you're definitely paying more from the interest than you are actually paying for the product that you brought. So the money you're paying for is not the money you're spending in that car note is not even going to the car directly at first. You're really just paying off that interest
Interest.
first,
Yep.
and then 2-3 years down the line, then you're actually paying for the car itself, and by then it depreciated in value.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the wicked system that we live in. If it was just you get a car off a car lot, you would actually just pay for the car. So the car is worth 1,200. That money should just be paying the 1,200 that the car is worth. But now, if you get a car for 1,200, which obviously cars are worth more than that, I'm just giving an example. You get a car for 1,200, the balance for it is going to end up being 2,400, depending on your APR. So, the scriptures is anti-usury, and that's what they do. That's why a lot of Americans are in debt with these credit cards, these car loans, and anything that could add debt to their lives.
Yeah, because there's a lot of truth to that. Because I spoke with one of my passengers, right? He said his car was originally $8,000. When he got with all the taxes and everything, he ended up paying $30,000. That's crazy. And he just paid it off recently after 5 years.
Yeah,
I
see,
said that's crazy.
yeah.
That's crazy. Only in
So if
America,
it
right?
wasn't for the user, he probably would have paid off in 3.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So I'm gonna read these last two paragraphs right here, but the whole article is good. So your brothers wanted to find it, y'all could find it. Y'all could go through the whole article. The economists warn that the rising tide of defaults could fuel further inflation. A financial institution writes off billions in bad debt that might tighten lending standards, reducing the flow of credit into economy. This, in turn, could stifle economic growth and exuberate the course of living crisis. The outlook of 2025 is grim, with homelessness at record high and financial stress tearing families apart. The U.S. economy is in far more trouble than most realize. The surge in credit card default is not just a symptom of economic malaise, right? It is harbinger of deeper systemic issues that demand urgent attention. However, it might be too late to deal with the issue because the growing default um, represent cascading effect, right? That most be realized and will only get worse before they get better. It's not gonna get no better, right? Because we seen we seen the end of Esau economy. We seen the end of America, right? Which is the resurrected of the of Roman, right?
Gotcha.
So Roman been resurrected, and now it's called America, right? Go ahead.
Isaiah 10 and 1. Woe to them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed.
There we go.
That's
Yeah.
like for the laws, like especially when you
Mm-hmm.
have to sign those contracts when you get in a car loan or whatever. Those are technically unrighteous decrees. You shouldn't have to pay so much for, you shouldn't have to pay so much interest. You should just be paying for the principal, right? And I looked up the difference between principal and interest. Where principal is the amount of money you borrow. The interest is the cost of borrowing money or the fee charged by the lender. So that's an additional fee you got to pay on top of the principal. So that's why, like, if you are able to with your job, you got to double up on payments just to get rid of that loan faster than you would if you were just paying the minimum payment. It's the same thing for credit cards, but a lot of Americans aren't able to do that. And then with some Americans, like, they aren't able to pay the taxes back, so their wages get garnished,
Mm-hmm.
and they're in a deeper hole than they were before. So taxes is also very unreasonable. It's another unrighteous decree. When you go buy a product, you buy a bottle of water, it's technically $2, but you got to spend another 50, 75 cents on top of that just to buy that bottle of water because of the taxes that come with it. So you can't even go to a store and be like, oh yeah, I know that water bottle's gonna be $2. You got to bring in an extra dollar on top of that just to get that product.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another unrighteous decree. Uncle Sam's going to collect his tax no matter what. So
That's right. And they've been taxing us for like forever,
yeah,
right? They taxed us in the ancient world, right? I
exactly.
think under Augustus.
Yeah.
Can you find that scripture for me, son? The tax.
Yeah, I got it. Luke 2 verse 1.
Yes, there we
Luke
go.
chapter 2 verse 1.
There we go.
And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the
Mm-hmm.
world should be taxed.
Yep. All
Yes.
the world should be taxed,
Probably
right?
where it started, right?
Yep. So what they did with that tax money, we built the emperors back then built Colosseum with Hebrew Israelite tax money, pantheons, right? Museum, right? Uh, Even the water system that flow into uh, Rome, that was our tax dollars that built that, you know, right?
I got more info on
So
that
that's
too.
what they was doing with the money, right? And they paid off the military also,
Yes.
right?
So,
And they also paid in salt too.
so,
That's where you get the word salary. Okay. Yeah, you got something?
yeah, it says ancient Rome administered a sales tax. Julius Caesar was the first to implement a sales tax, a
Mm-hmm.
1% flat rate that was applied across the entire empire. Under Caesar Augustus, the sales tax was 4%. So when Julius Caesar, he started with 1%, and Caesar Augustus, he skyrocketed up to 4%,
Mm-hmm.
closer to a rate we see today in many U.S. sales taxes. There's nothing new under the sun.
There's nothing new under the sun, right? So let me I'm gonna play a little bit of this video right here. There we go. Yes, Your Honor.
Halting payments as higher prices across the board force Americans to use credit cards. It comes as over half of Americans earning a six-figure salary report that they're actually living paycheck to paycheck. So to help us break down all of this is Megan Lenhart. She's a senior reporter for Fortune magazine.
So when you get additional money, you should save your money for a rainy day, right? Just like the ants. Ants was um, intelligent creatures where they harvest in the summertime and they're okay for the winter. So this is not the time to order abundance things or Temu and Amazon. This is the time to stack your money, all right? Joseph. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Joseph was a great example of that. How he stored. He stored what was that, the grains in the barns and so on. So when famine came in the land, he was able to sell or distribute grains so people won't go hungry, right? So
Yeah.
we are living in those times. This
Yeah.
is not the time to get this and this outfit and this sneakers for this or Crocs. If you got two pair of slippers, you should be good. This is not the time to rack up on that. That's being materialistic. Save up money because the scripture said money is a defense, right? Okay.
Thanks for joining us. You know, a lot of people are going to hear you make $100,000 a year and you're living paycheck to paycheck. That seems it seems like crazy talk, but it's actually happening. But we're going to get to that in a minute. First, I want to talk about what we're seeing the banks doing. The banks are bracing for putting money aside for people essentially defaulting on loans. What happens if a large number of people start to default on their payments, whether it's credit cards or their car payments or whatever it is?
Well, hey, I appreciate you having me this morning. I think that this is an important topic that we need to talk about over and over again in the coming year. Certainly last year and throughout the early days of the pandemic, since, the onset of the lockdowns, we've seen that credit card delinquencies have been historically low. So now we're starting to see a ramp up period, given the inflation, given the economic environment that we've been in. We're going to start seeing, more people sitting there and saying, I can't pay my credit card at the end of the month. And of course, now I want to stress that, again, we've been in a historically low environment. I know TransUnion and other experts are predicting somewhere where we're going to go from about 2% to maybe about 2.6% this year. Now, granted, it's still much lower than some of those crazy high rates we saw during the financial crisis. Credit card delinquencies at that point were somewhere in the 3.2 range. So again, nothing too crazy, but that does obviously have ripple effects. We're already starting to see credit card companies, banks saying, you know what, we're going to tighten our lending standards. We're going to sit there and put a little bit more money on the books to make sure that we have enough to cover this if it becomes a problem.
Right. So you just.
Yeah, so a lot of banks are going to hold out on that money.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of investment firms is going to hold out on that money, man. So they're going to tighten up the noose. They're going to tighten up the noose, man. So it'll be hard for you to get a loan, right? And it goes back to the Joe Biden administration, right? This asshole, right, took all the American taxpaying dollars and gave it to Israel and gave it to Ukraine. You know what I'm saying? Billions of dollars, right? Funding that war, which you just kept your nose out of it because we need problem. We need. What's that? We got problems here on American soil. We got homelessness on the rise, drug abuse on the rise, on the rise, right? So we got a plethora of problems here in America, right? The roads is all messed up. We got a lot of potholes. So why the hell you don't take care in house instead of sending money to overseas, right? Now who got to pay for that? Us. We got to pay for that, man. Right? But hey, that's the signs of the time. America's falling, right? This is the modern day Rome, and Rome fell also because of inflation, right? Yeah, go ahead.
Isaiah 30, 1-3. Woe to the rebellious children, say the Lord, that take counsel but not of me, and that cover with a covering but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, that walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. Because it's so easy to trust in America, like, oh, I can just get a credit card, I'll be fine, this will pay for that and that. But then when it's time to pay the stuff back, then they're going to be on you to pay that money back. It's same thing with the stimulus check. Everybody was excited for the stimulus check, like, oh, they was trusting in Egypt for that stimulus check, but I'm pretty sure they got us back in some way with like gas prices. So in a way, you had to pay that stimulus check back.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't from the goodness of their heart.
Yeah.
It was just to pump a little money into the system, and that helped them out. It didn't really help you out. A lot of people got a stimulus check. They blew it on a PlayStation. They blew it on clothes. They probably used it to buy some rims for their car. And that's the thing about us Israelites. When we get money on our hands, we want to use it for something that's not going to help us in the long run. Like, you get $1 million right now, and I'm pretty sure a lot of these niggas, they're going to buy a Hellcat. They get the Hellcat, the best car, the best J's. Probably get like 10 J's, 10 expensive J's, instead of putting that money into something that where their money could build up, like a Roth IRA or stocks, or
It's where your money could grow.
Yeah, even real estate. The house, even the housing market is bad right now. Anyways, you can't even really. You got to work that. You got to play your cards right with that. But that would still be better than buying the most expensive cars with that type of money. So a lot of our people got that trust in Egypt, that Egypt's going to prevail forever and ever. But really, truly, that's going to be your shame, your confusion.
All right. I found this article earlier, the economic reason for the fall of Rome. And I'm going to get straight to the point. What? Inflation. Inflation, right? This is the modern day Rome, right? And the ancient Rome fell because of what? Inflation. The economy fell. It collapsed, right? So I'm going to read this. Inflation. Nero and the other emperors debased the currency in order to supply a demand for more coins. And what did the United States do? They pump dollars into the system.
Yeah.
Right? The more you pump dollar, the less value the dollar has. Debasing currency means that instead of a coin having its own intrinsic value, it was now the only representative of the silver or gold it had once contained. In 14 CE, CE means common era, the year of the Emperor Augustus' death, the supply of Roman gold and silver amounted to $1,700,000,000. By 800, this had dwindled to $165,000. 1 billion went down to 165. $165,000.
That's the reserve.
Yeah, it devalued.
Oh, they devalued.
It devalued. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. It said part of the problem was the government would not permit the melting down of gold and silver for individuals. By the time of Claudius II, Claudius II, Claudius II, second of Gothicus, emperor from 268 to 27, the amount of silver is supposedly solid silver denarius was only 0.02%. That's like going on right now, right? The dollar has devalued, right? They keep printing money out of what? Out of thin air, right? This was led on a severe inflation, depending on how you define inflation, especially luxurious emperor like Commodus, right? Who marked the end of the period of 5 good emperors, depleted the imperial coffers. By the time of his assassination, the empire had almost no money left. And that's what's going on in the United States. They don't have no money. The United States is broke, right? And the Americans people are feeling this, right? America is circling down the drain, man. I just don't understand why people are trying to leave their country to come over here, right? People leaving the islands when people in the islands got fresh water, fresh air, right? Little homes, they got chicken in the backyard running. They could get eggs, right? This is not American dreams, nothing but American nightmare. People in Trinidad living better than people in America, right? That's because Trinidad don't have, the best of cars and best of homes, but they eating every day. They could go to the beach take a walk to the beach, like the people in Honduras. They could walk to the beach. They could walk to the waterfalls. Hey, to me, that's living. That's living,
Yeah.
right? They're not. They're not. They don't have depths like America, right? They're not living paycheck to paycheck over there.
But the reason why they moved to America is because they wanted fornication.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, because they can influence. You know, one of the bigger house,
Mm-hmm.
a better car, career, like going to college and stuff. Because a lot of those islands, that the education system isn't as strong as it is in America. So America's good with advertising, you know, what it has, just for you to be stuck up in that trap. So the little chickens and the trees they have, that's just not enough to them because they seen on TV, they seen what people in America have. You know, this nice big house, this nice car, this nice job. So they get influenced by that American dream, and doing so, they get stuck in that spider web. They get stuck in that snare.
Mm-hmm.
You know, unless you play your cards right, but you can play your cards right in America if you stay away from debt and you know you try to have an honest living. And but that isn't easy though.
Mm-hmm.
That isn't easy because it's hard to save money. Stuff happens. You know, your tire might go out. You might have an engine failure. You stay away from car note, but you might have an old car. So that old car, you might have to put a lot of money into it. You might have to get a new starter, a new alternator. You know, it's like this system finds a way for you to dish out some type of money.
I know. Oh my God, everything is money in this fucked up place, yo.
Yeah. And to get your phone replaced, you gotta have a protection plan on that. You know, you really don't want to spend the extra dollars every month, but if you don't, you know, they get you like, oh, you don't got the protection plan, so you can't replace the phone, or you gotta have insurance in the car. Because something happens to your car, then you can't have another one. So you gotta dish out that money every month. It's like these things, you're forced to spend this money. Because there's a big risk if you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just like the ancient Roman Empire fell, and just like the modern Roman Empire, which the one we live in today, is falling apart. It's crumbling. It's crumbling, man. Ep, can you give me Habakkuk 2, verse 5 and 6, and we'll end the video?
Okay. Habakkuk?
Yep.
I was gonna bring out that Mari Clay too, but we could bring that another time.
This is it.
Habakkuk?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, that's no. I was thinking about I was talking about the statue, about how the clay was mixed with the iron on the toes.
Oh, okay. We're talking about the one in
Daniel chapter
Daniel.
2:45.
Mm-hmm.
We could this is good too. Habakkuk 2:5 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, also because he transgressed by wine, he's a proud man.
Wine's not talking about a drink. Wine is philosophy, right? Religion establishment, right? It's political, right? Be transgressed by wine. Go ahead.
Democracy.
Yeah, democracy, number one.
Go ahead. Wow.
Go
He's
ahead.
a proud man, neither keep it at home.
Yeah, he don't stay at home. He's in everybody affairs, but his own affair. He's in everybody business, but his own. Go ahead.
Who enlarges his desire is hell.
Yeah, he want everything. He want the oil reserves. He wanted the oil in Iran. He wanted the oil in Iraq, which he took, right? He want everything. He can never have enough. Go ahead.
And is as death and cannot be satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
But gather unto him all nations and heap it unto all people.
That's right. Go ahead.
Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to them that increaseth that which is not his?
Mm-hmm.
How long into him that ladded himself with thick clay?
Yeah, he led himself with thick clay.
Yeah.
Debt. All right. Yeah, he owed money to China, right? Yeah, it's bad for America, man. It's bad for America, and it's only getting worse. That's it on that. It.
Yeah, I was gonna look at what the blue letters had to say for clay.
Oh yeah,
we know
yeah.
this spiritually.
Yeah, you can look it up. Thing is on that. Let me pull it up real quick.
I guess it'd be better you put it there.
Clay. Let's look up what clay is. Yeah, clay H2916.
Yep. weight of pledges, heavy debts.
Strong's H 2916. Teat. Teat.
Are you seeing the same thing on yours?
Nah.
Mine says weight of pledges, heavy debts. Have T.
Mm-hmm.
H5671. Is that Habakkuk 2 and 5?
Yeah, let me go back. Habakkuk 2.
2 and 6.
2 and 6. Okay. H5671.
Yep.
Yep. A weight of pleasures and heavy debt. Yeah. Aptit.
Strong's H 5671. Avteet.
Aptit.
Avteet.
Weight of pleasures and heavy debt. You know, when you sign these contracts, mortgage contracts and so on, weight of pleasures, that you pledge that you're going to make your payments on time and so on, and heavy debts. Right? Yeah, man. So we're going to end it with that. It was a short video. It was extremely cold out there today, so we had to do an indoor video, right? So I hope this was informative or was edifying. I'm going to see y'all brothers on the next video. So we give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Hashem Rekwakadash, Malawaf, La Babal. All right, shalom.